Hi.
What's going on, brother?
Beautiful day.
It's a beautiful day. Is it warm or does it just look beautiful?
It just looks beautiful.
I was in
Yeah, it's cold
Arizona
as
this
shit out.
week and it was freezing.
Was it? Which part?
Yeah, dude. I was in Hot Springs. What was it called? Castle Hot Springs, Arizona.
Yeah.
So there's this
The
joint
northern
out
part?
there. Yeah, so it's like north, not all the way north. It's like south of Flagstaff, but north of Phoenix. So somewhere in the middle of those two. And
Yeah.
it's like in the middle of the desert, surrounded by mountains, and it's
Oh, yeah.
wild.
It's always
Dude.
cold
Like, so it's normally warmer, they said, and
there. Is it?
but just a little bit north, it does get pretty cold. It's like a weird in between spot. But this joint is like one of those places where they found a natural hot spring where it just like spews hot water from the mountain like 24/7 forever.
Is this like sulfur?
No.
Did you go to it?
Yeah, hell
Okay.
yeah, dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
so they made it a zillion years ago, so it has like old history.
Wait,
Like a
they
bunch of
made what
presidents.
a zillion years ago? Like God made it a zillion years ago.
No. So I was going to finish my thought because I'm ADD.
Okay.
So this thing has like a lot of old history. Like presidents have been there, Rockefellers have been there, and there's pictures all over the resort of like pictures from however long ago. All black and white old photos.
Yeah.
And so they used to dig for gold there, mine for gold, and they found the hot spring then, I guess, and they turned it into like a pool at the bottom of it. So it runs into a pool, and that pool runs into a second pool, and as it goes on, it gets a little less hot, but it's like 102 degrees all the time. So it was really cool. So it was like a little wellness kind of retreat kind of place where they have ridiculous food all the time. And you just chill in either the hot springs or go hiking. And so I climbed all kinds of crazy shit this week and I did this like rock climbing kind of thing. I forget what it was called, but like where you're in a harness and you hook on those cables and climb up the side of a mountain. Dude, it was the nuttiest thing I've ever done. Huh?
I used to do rock climbing all the time, man. When I was in my early 20s.
I've never done it.
Loved it.
Bro, it was bananas.
Loved it. I actually took it up because I was deathly afraid of heights.
Yeah, that's Steph.
And so I was like, well, this is embarrassing. So I think typically the natural progression of it is you take up rappelling, and then you go, well, this, after you do that 20 times, you go, this is boring. Let's figure out how to get back up. Yeah, I used to do it all the time. Loved it.
I didn't know what I was getting into, so Steph just signed us up. They have different things you can do there, different whatever, little things you can do. And she signed me up to one. She's like, "Hey, you got this thing you're doing this morning at 9." I'm like, "All right, what is it?" She's like, "You're climbing something." I'm like, "Okay." Dude, I get there and they're like, "Put on a harness and a helmet." I'm like, "What am I climbing?" And they're like, "See that mountain right there?" We climbed up the side of a wall, and I was like,
"Love it."
Bro, I ain't never done nothing like that, but it was neat. It was cool. You feel this weird sense of safety hooked to a screw in the side of a mountain. I don't know why.
Right.
But I was like hanging off the edge, like looking down. I'm like, I can't believe I'm hanging here. So.
Did you have the fancy climbing shoes? The little like elf shoes?
I mean, I just took like hiking sneakers that I had. Yeah, I just had hiking sneakers that I brought.
Oh yeah, man! I used to have the chalk and the elf shoes and the short shorts and the tank top and.
Damn, I should have went.
Yeah, there's a as goofy as it sounds, man. We've got some decent rock climbing here in Fort Worth.
Do you?
Yeah, there's like canals that naturally made water eroded canals with really hard limestone and great climbing. It's only like 20 yards tall, but that's plenty to fall from.
Yeah. How high?
And it's all top rope. So you walk up. Yeah, it's about 20 yards tall, probably.
Cool.
And it's all top rope. So you walk up, and then it just drops off, and so you just tie on to a tree and then rappel down, and then
got it.
And then do your climbing back up. It was great, man. I loved that stuff. I haven't done it in 20 years, but that was
I
a
think we
big hobby of mine when I was in.
I think it was like 400 feet.
You were just there with your wife. You weren't there for work?
Yeah, just me and Steph went. She didn't do that piece. She did the hike. She did a big hike though, dude. That was, I posted this thing on my story where like at the top of one of the peaks, it's like, I think like 500 feet high. One of the presidents, I think JFK, put a flag at the top of this thing. So a flag sits at the top. And like the flag looks this big when you're looking at it from the bottom. We hiked up all the way. And at the end, you got to kind of like climb up these rocks, like scramble up rocks. It's not just trail. Steph was like death gripping this thing to get up it, but she's saying she's scared shit of heights. So she wanted to do that hike, which when you're at the top, you're on the edge of the mountain. Like you look down, you're like, dude, it's like
straight
the
down.
Football field or more down. Oh man, it's nuts. So she was freaking out. And then they had this, the one that I climbed with the rock climbing thing, and then the one we hiked, they're next to each other. And they have this bridge that connects them. It's like this narrow, like not even a foot wide. And I don't know how long, but it connects the two mountains. So she wanted to walk across it just to get over her fear. So we did that too. And I think that's about.
I'm proud of her.
Yeah. So it was cool. It was a neat little trip.
I've always been that way. It's like if I'm afraid of snakes, we got to go hang out with snakes, man. If I'm scared of heights, we got to learn how to rock climb.
Yeah.
I've just always been that way. Like, I don't like things controlling me. Not very good at that, especially me not being able to control myself. So.
I can see that.
So yeah, we talked last week about the videographer I hired. I fired him before he even started.
Literally before he started?
But literally before he started.
Why?
He didn't even get it. I mean, I was giving him a really good salary because I wanted him, right? And I wanted him to be happy. And that, I think I hired him on Monday I hired him on Tuesday. And I said, let's start a week from Monday. And I'm texting him back and forth and he's slow to answer back. And in the interview, I'm like, listen, at this price, when I call, you answer. If it's 2 a.m. and you're awake, you answer, right? If I text, you reply. If I do this, you do that. And I promise to do the same for you. And he's slow to text me back. And I'm like, this isn't making me happy. Not for what I'm paying. And then on Friday afternoon, I'm like, hey, I need this, and this done before Monday. He's like, oh, I just sent you. Well, he's sending me a proposal. We had an agreement. And he's like, well, just, you said you were open to a proposal. And I go, no, I didn't. I said that when we first started talking and then we came to an agreement, but that's fine. I'll take a look. So I take a look at it. I'm like, this guy's an idiot. Like this is, he's going to make half as much money. He's just too stupid to realize it. And so I'm like, as I text him, I go, this is really interesting that we're doing this via text. And he was like, well, you said you were open to it. And so I just replied back. I go, yeah, you're not the man I thought you were. I was really excited to work with you. You seem like you're very talented and you're going to go far in life, but I like the words, take care, brush your hair.
I've never heard that one. Take care, brush your hair. That sounds like something Maddox would say to me.
I love it. I like it because they're like, what does that mean? And I go, it means you're fired. Like, that's what it means. It means you're fired. And so I spent the entire weekend combing through another 300 resumes and absolute trash. The thing about videographers is they all think they're talented, and almost none of them are. And to me, it's like, if you're not I'm not very good. I'm better than most people, but I'm not very good. And if you're not better than me, we got a problem. Like, this is what you think you're going to do for a living? And they're all just making rap videos. It's like, how many rap videos? Is rap videos and weddings. Now, I get weddings. If you're going to get into that business, you got to start with weddings because it's the only place people are willing to hire you to walk around. But these rap videos are just these guys' friends.
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't understand lighting. I can't even see you. Like me right now, it's too bright back there, not bright enough here.
Yes. Someone should be fixing that for you.
Yeah, somebody should be fixing this shit for me. So yeah, but I found a guy that this guy is remarkable, man. He's about 55. He's like a legit Hollywood videographer who sold he like, to tell you the story, it seems like BS because this guy's life is just this interesting. So basically, when he was in his 20s, him and his buddy started like the first refillable cartridge ink printer thing, and then sold that business for 40 million or something like that, several years later.
Really?
And then he got into drones and started doing drone work when drones was really new, and then started putting cameras on them, and then all of a sudden was the only drone guy in Hollywood. And then he got into videography, and then he got into this and got into that. So like he did all the drone work for Lord of the Rings. He was the primary videographer for the Gold Rush. He was the primary videographer for years for Survivor.
No way.
Yeah. Cool. And you're like, that's what I'm saying. Like, even telling this guy's story seems like BS. And I'm telling my wife, I'm like, either this guy's the greatest con man in the world and he's going to con me out of 1 week's salary.
Yeah.
Or this guy is insanely talented. And so I'm like, why are you here? He's like, well, I gave that company to my son, and then I moved here because my wife is going to nurse practitioner school. She just always wanted to be a nurse practitioner. And so kind of bored, and I want to make some cool shit. And I'm like, I want to make cool shit. So
I like it.
Yeah. So he's in the other room right now making cool shit, and I'm in here.
Is he? Started. Okay.
Yeah.
Started Monday?
Yeah. Yeah. What's today? Thursday? I hired him Monday. I was like, was it Monday? It was Monday. Today's Wednesday, right?
Today's Wednesday.
I was like, well, you want to start next week? He's like, I'd rather just start tomorrow. So he came in yesterday, and all he did was interview everyone who works here to just try to understand, what it is we do and who our target audience is, and and then today he's in shooting.
That's dope. I love it.
And I'm going to make cool shit. I'm like, listen, man, I just want to tell stories. Like, I want to tell stories. Like all these like 60, 45, 31 minute reels that I make, I go, let's do that, but let's turn it horizontal or let's turn it landscape instead of up and down, vertical. And let's really talk about it. Right. So instead of me saying, yeah, you should marry somebody who supports you, the end, let's delve into that. What does that mean?
That's cool.
But make it sexy and beautiful, and do a 3-camera shoot with, other cool shit sliding in. And yeah, so that's what we're going to do.
I love it.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see the first one.
I'll send you this guy's portfolio. It's crazy.
Nice. I love it.
So again, maybe he's scamming me out of 1 week's payroll, but if so,
it'll be a good week.
It's going to be a great week. Yeah. So, and I like him. I'm like, it's, how hard it is to end up in a room with someone, especially someone you're trying to hire, that you're equals or you even kind of look up to a little bit.
Yeah.
Like every time you're in the room, right? I mean, like, why are we friends? Because we're equals, and I'm learning from you and you're learning from me, and we get to go back and forth and we get to both be better. But 99% of the time you're hiring someone, you're bringing them in, you're just their dad.
Yeah.
And at no point did I, in fact, the other way, I was the opposite. I'm like, man, this guy can teach me a bunch. I can learn from this guy. So
that's dope. I love it.
It was refreshing. I have high hopes, and
I love it
for this.
Amanda interviewed the guy we talked about last week too. Yesterday, she interviewed him yesterday. Mm-hmm. Actually, both of them did, him and Amanda, and the guy that does Andres, that does the programming, and he has a graphic design background and all kinds. So they both interviewed him, both loved him. So he's gonna come. We have him coming. I have an event next week that I'm speaking at and doing a little thing. So he's going to come in and do a little trial run there. And but I think we're so far it seemed, and then if that were, and I'm gonna meet him there. I haven't met him yet or interviewed him, so I'm gonna meet him there, interview him there, and then we're gonna like live trial run him. So
right. When I was first talking to him, I'm like, well, I do these podcasts, so I want to film those, and we'll cut little segments. And I'm like, what? John does that. Like John's already got all these little segments. I mean, these people got those. I don't need that. I don't want to do whatever I want to do shit no one else has ever tried.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah, I want to tell the story of Perry Lunsford.
Yeah,
I think
that's a smart angle, dude. I should do more storytelling stuff. I get kind of bored with my stuff, but I also, when I see it, I'm like, oh, I remember recording that and saying it, and it's usually in a group or in a crowd, you know what I mean, some type of group setting, and tends to have bigger purpose. I don't do a ton where I'm like, hey, let me make a video about this.
Yeah, well, you're talking to salespeople.
Yeah,
right. That's not who I want to talk to. I want to talk to entrepreneurs. Yeah, who aren't salespeople. Or I want to talk to entrepreneurs who don't sell insurance.
Yeah,
I want if you own a steel company, that you're my guy. That's who I want to talk to. You own a roofing company. That's my client.
Got it. Makes sense.
My clients are entrepreneurs. My clients are, people who make an above average income.
Yep.
You don't need to make millions, just, a couple $100,000 a year, 150 plus, doing okay in life. There's only one thing in the world you can't just write a bigger check for and be treated better. Right. So to get to work today, I don't sit in traffic. I drive in the HOV lane and I get charged $20 to come to work.
Yep.
Right. I call American Airlines and they answer the phone, Dr. Perry or Dr. Lunsford. I told you that story, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So they answer the phone, Dr. Lunsford. You go to the airport and they take directly to the airplane in a Mercedes.
Yeah.
You don't go to Walmart, you go to Kroger, you spend a little bit more money, you get treated a little bit better. But health insurance is the one place that doesn't work. The more money you make, the more money you spend, the shittier you're treated.
No kidding.
Yeah, I mean, in health insurance, if you don't have access to something through work, you're in Obamacare. And the more money you make, the more that Obamacare costs, the higher the deductible, the smaller the network, the worse you're treated. And you can't call. And you're calling and talking to basically Walmart employees when you have a problem. So the problem we solve is you make a little more money. Not only am I going to save you money, but you're going to get treated like you're spending twice as much. So you're going to spend half and get treated like you're spending twice as much. That's what I do. That's what makes us special.
That's neat. I like that angle. I didn't know that.
That's what makes us
higher income people, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, listen, we help everybody. We'll help anybody. But who's my primary client?
You're looking
my
for
primary client? You're my primary client, right? The guy who built your house is my primary client.
Yeah. Yep. I like it.
Yeah, and if we get their employees, cool. I'm happy to do that too. Because again, I'm going to lower your payments, but you're going to get treated when you call. We answer the phone.
Dr. Lunsford.
Good morning, doctor.
I love it. That's badass.
Yeah. I think I told you that story face to face. I didn't tell it here, right?
Yeah.
So when I think. Yeah. So I'm what's called executive concierge key on American Airlines, right? So it's the top level of you spend too much at the airlines.
Yeah.
And so the way I do that is I run all of my businesses through American Airlines cards. So the marketing business runs through American Airlines cards, the hot rod shop, the museum, right? And the insurance industry agency. We all run, everything runs through American Airlines insurance or credit cards. So, I end up with a couple million miles a year from American Airlines. So they put you in this thing called concierge key. Well, I got my American Airlines number, my what's that called? The frequent flyer number
Mhm.
through American Airlines when I was probably like 22. And when I was 22, you had to fill it all out. And I put in there, I was a doctor of badassery. And so now when I call, they still think I'm a doctor. And so they answer the phone, Dr. Lunsford. And I immediately go, you don't need to call me that. Just call me Perry. It makes me feel guilty every time because, I have friends who are PhDs and friends who are, real physicians and surgeons, and they worked really hard and they're very smart people and they spend a lot of money for that title. And my dumbass just gets it for having too many air miles. So
you get the same. It's funny. They probably, I got a massage this week and she was like, there's sometimes these people come in, different types of personalities come in. And she's like, my least favorite one is when someone comes in and I'm like, hi, Mr. Lunsford. And they're like, it's Dr. Lunsford to you. She was giving me a story of someone like, that had just done the door earlier.
Yeah, every physician I've ever known never wanted anybody to know they were a physician. Every chiropractor I've ever known wanted you to call them doctor.
Oh, Lord.
And listen, I got a lot of friends who are chiropractors. I ain't putting it down, but it's fact, right? So I always say, chiropractors and Marines are the same way. You know how you can tell a chiropractor or a Marine?
How?
I'm just kidding. They already told you 3 times.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Those are my favorite buddies. Chiropractors and Marines. You're like, oh, are you a Marine? They're like, yeah. And they're like, how did you know? I'm like, well, the 7 tattoos, the tie pin, the hat, and the ring didn't give it away.
Oh, boy. It made my face hurt from laughing so hard.
Jamie and I, in the office, we always have like this like timer, like who when you get a chiropractor. And again, I love chiropractors. I have a chiropractor. I ain't giving a hard time to chiropractors. They entertain me and I love them. It's like, how long do you go on the call before they tell you you're a chiropractor? And it's usually about 35 seconds. Like when for a client that reaches out, you get on the phone, and then you'll hear 35-second chiropractor, and then
oh boy, y'all have fun over there.
The thing about the difference between a chiropractor and a physician, there's a lot of differences, but a chiropractor is a salesperson.
True.
Yeah, I mean, like physicians, people just come to because you're in network.
Yeah,
but a chiropractor's got to go out there and hustle.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
My chiropractor friends that are wealthy, they're not wealthy because they're chiropractors. They're wealthy because they're great salespeople and great marketers. And they just monetize it through chiropractic. That's what I always say. Man, I'm not a health insurance salesperson. I'm a marketer and I help people. I monetize that through health insurance because that's where my expertise is. That's where I'm the best in the country.
Yeah, I love it. Love it. We have a big chiropractic school here local, so we get a lot of them. We got a lot of young ones open up their own shop, and yeah, they're everywhere.
They're everywhere. Yeah. Dr. Jimmy.
I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna start filling out. I couldn't be Dr. Wetmore. That doesn't even fit me.
It makes me uncomfortable every time I get called that because I'm like, I don't even have a degree in chiropractic. So
it's funny.
Just in badassery, though. I definitely have a PhD.
You should own that one. That is your lane.
That's my lane.
It is. What else you got coming up this week?
I saw this thing on Facebook where they've got charging lanes for electric cars where you drive on and it charges your car when you drive it.
I saw that. Yeah. Yeah. You know what's funny is my daughter last week, she we go to dinner. My son came in he's been living in Cali for the year. So he came in town for the holidays. He's 25.
Okay.
Or be 25. And my daughter's 29. So we did dinner one night and she had just come back from Virginia, like an hour before dinner. So, and I thought she was out there like a week. So we sit down at dinner and Steph and I start asking her questions about how her trip was, and she didn't look excited about her trip. Like it wasn't her fate. I'm like, oh, that's weird. What happened? And she's like, it took a little longer to get there than we thought. And I'm like, why? Like it's Virginia. Like you put in Waze, it tells you how far it is. Like what happened? She goes, I rented an electric car.
Oh no.
Yeah. And it's like I think it's like a 12-hour drive from us, something like that. Like in a real car. So she rents an electric car and we're like, dude, how many times did you have to charge it? She's like, I had to stop about every hour. And where they say you plug it in and it takes 6 minutes or 12 minutes or whatever it is to charge like 80%. She's like, no, it took a freaking hour. So every hour she had to stop for an hour to charge it. So it took her 2 days to get there.
Yeah.
And then she spent 1 day and then had to leave to come back. And I'm like, that doesn't sound exciting at all. Like, I don't understand the electric car thing unless you're whipping around the neighborhood, I guess. But I've heard a lot of.
Yeah, that's what it's good for.
I'm like, what the hell? That sounds like the worst thing ever. So yeah.
One of my best friends is like ultra blue-haired liberal, and but he's a business partner here. We've been friends since 3rd grade, but he's very liberal. He also has 150 guns, but so he electric cars came out, and he's gonna be the first one to save the world. And he's like, I got to buy an electric car to make up for all your hot rods, right? And then he moved to Arkansas, and it's supposed to be like a 3-hour drive, and it's like 5.5 every time he wants to come visit. And so
it sounds awful.
Yeah, he's buying a truck again.
You think? I'm like, there's no way that can be.
It sounds better. It sounds like it's just not. I think it's just not ready. Right? The government wants you to think it's ready. It's great for, putting around town, maybe going if you're only going to work and back. I think it's like a Jeep. You don't want a Jeep as a real car. It's a third car.
Has a Jeep.
Yeah.
My daughter drives
that
Jeep
thing
too.
Miserable.
I was like, how's it on the interstate? And my son was like, it's like, but she loves it. She loves it.
Yeah. Well, my buddy, his electric car is a Jeep.
Shut up.
Yeah, it's an electric Jeep.
Jeeps.
I'm like, you would never want one to me, you should never drive a Jeep as a primary car, and you should never drive an electric as a primary car. You bought an electric Jeep as your primary car.
That's funny.
That's the point, man.
Unreal.
So there you go. So all right. Well, we usually talk about kids. I'll tell you about my son. My son came to me this week. He was like, my son's 15, turns 16 in a couple of weeks. Right? He makes okay grades, like good enough. His problem is remarkably smart, but also believes, just like I had the same problem. Like, when the teachers are talking, you just look at them and go, I know my parents use any of this stuff. Why would I ever need to know this? And once, especially as a kid, once that gets in your head, well, even now, like if there's a bunch of information coming into the office and you're like, I don't think I need to know this. This is a Stephanie problem. You go figure this shit out. Right. Or this is an Elizabeth problem. You figure this shit out. When you're done, give me the cliff notes.
Yeah.
And my son already at 15 figured that out a long time ago. He's like, I don't need to know any of this. Can I just get the cliff notes? Right. Yeah. So he comes to me, he's like, Dad, should I go to college? And all my son wants to do is own his own companies, run businesses. Yeah. And I'm like, man, I hate answering this question because the answer is no for him. Right. Yeah. I'm like, if you just want Dad to pay for you to go party somewhere, or you want Dad to pay $10,000 to $40,000 for 1 year of you partying somewhere and making bad grades before they kick you out, like that's what you can do. And then we talked about, the 4 things, leadership, sales, marketing. I'm like, or you can, spend a year with a great leader, right? Spend a year with a great sales team, spend a year with a great marketing company, spend a year with an analytics company. So maybe someone who buys businesses or something like that, and that just, breaks everything down. And he's like, and I'm like, but this is your choice. And then that night, so I got all my podcast, my media room, I got all the soundproof things up and I'm putting them in and I'm listening to this Hermosi podcast, and Hermosi's talking about his next door neighbor. Was like my son, just all he wants to be is an entrepreneur, and made half-assed grades in high school, and his parents convinced him to go to a nice college, and now the kid's getting kicked out of college because he screwed up. And so he's busting his ass to try to get back into this college. And Hermosi takes him for a walk. And basically it's just like this 10, 15-minute podcast about what he said to that kid. And it's fantastic. Right. And so I send this podcast to my son. I go, just listen to this, because this guy can tell this without feeling like he's leading. This is Jace's decision to make, not mine.
Yeah.
And so I sent him this podcast. I'm like, listen to this. So he listened to it and then didn't talk to me about it the rest of the night. Next morning on the way to school, he's driving. He's like, I'm not going to college, Dad. I was like, he's like, but we need to start working on, where I'm going to go. Where am I going to go intern? Which sales organization am I going to intern in? Because I don't really want him doing it here.
Yeah.
But also I don't want him to go someplace that's not at least as good as us, if not better. And that's hard to find. An ethical, like you can find places that can sell more than us, and you might be able to find a better leader, maybe, right? You might be able to find, but you're not going to find, and you might be able to find a place that's more ethical, but you're not going to be able to find a place that's more ethical with a better leader that sells more than us.
Combo.
The combo.
You're like the Tom Brady of.
I'm like Tom Brady, right?
Yeah.
And so like I'm like, well, John, you're so far up there that sending him to you, he's not going to learn from you, right? But I'm like, we'll just, we'll go to a marketing agent, or not you're going to go to a marketing agency. We're going to find you a great marketing agency. You're going to walk in there and you're going to go, I'm here to change your toilet paper and bring you coffee. And I want to just sit in your meetings. And I promise not to say anything unless you ask.
Yeah. I got a guy in the life world that's in Dallas. If you want to introduce him, I can.
I would love that. I mean, again, my son turns 16 in a few weeks, so we got a couple of years.
Yeah, when you get there.
I want him to go, and he's like, I just don't want to get locked in. I don't want to get in with you, Dad, where you're at right now, and then make a bunch of money and get comfortable and not continue on the journey.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, we'll just set a reminder in the phone, or an alarm on your phone that says this journey ends here today.
Yeah. Time to quit, Dad. Move to the next one.
Yeah. But I like the idea of doing sales. The first one is sales, because it'll teach him how to talk to everybody along the way.
Yeah.
And in the sales one, if he does what I tell him to do, or whoever is his mentor does what they tell him to do, he'll make enough money that he can live off of that for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
If he can keep from partying enough.
I had mine's 16. One of mine is 16 also. And he's the one that only wants to sell. He's like, I want to do what you do. I want to live like that. Right. And I was talking to him the other day, and I was like, we can get you on the phones like now.
Right.
Like you might not. Yeah. So I was thinking, and I don't want him to do it with me either. Again, not that I'm dialing the phone. I could teach him some stuff, send him offices, but I was like, shit, you want to go to Dallas, bro? I might send you there. And I was thinking about your call center, and I'm like, I need to get this fool learning some stuff from someone besides me too. Maybe we'll trade.
We'll just trade. When they graduate, I'll give you mine. Yeah. You give me yours. Trade off for a little bit.
I definitely want to learn, because he's talking about it now. He's like, when can I get my license? And I'm like, well, obviously 18. He knows that 18. But there's definitely things they can do prior to and start learning some stuff.
Man, so I got a 17-year-old here that just works as a runner for me.
Yep.
This guy's killing. He's making a couple of grand a week. So he speaks. Did I tell you about my Vietnamese guy? Yeah, I got this 17-year-old Vietnamese kid, right? Wears cowboy hat, cowboy boots, right? Pearl snap shirt, walks around talking like this all the time. But he speaks perfect, fluent Vietnamese. And I got him on the phones with Vietnamese people across the country, and kid's making a couple grand a week at 17 years old.
That's cool. What's he
Right.
doing?
It's really cool. I got these ads that I'm running in Vietnamese and
Oh, no way. God.
yeah.
Smart.
Yeah. So I run ads in Vietnamese. I run ads in Spanish. I run ads in French. We just built an ad in Pidgin yesterday, which is like a dialect of French in
That's
Cameroon.
real?
Yeah.
Pidgin.
I'm listening to him make these videos and I'm like, this is a real language. Are you sure you're not making this shit up? Because it sounds like you're making this shit up, Terrence. Yeah, so we're running ads, and the problem with running ads in Pidgin is it's a dialect in Cameroon. So like the French came into Cameroon, took it over, and then made them all learn French. So it's like this like half of their native language,
Kinda, yeah.
and half French mixed with English right now, and it's called Pidgin. So you can't market Pidgin on Meta. I can't say only go to. So with Vietnamese, I can be like only go to people who speak Vietnamese. Go.
Got it.
And then, but with Pidgin, what we're trying to do is we're running it into French with people of high interest of Cameroon, and we'll see if it works out.
Do French people understand Pidgin?
Nope. Nobody understands Pidgin except those.
Except them. But Pidgin understands French.
Pidgin understands French.
Wild. I was somewhere. I feel like it was in Dallas. I feel like I saw one of those like trivia questions in Dallas somewhere, like on a board or at a restaurant or something. And it was like, how many native languages are there in the DFW area? And it was some obscene number, like 700. It was like an obscene number of languages, like different types. I'm almost positive it was when I was in Dallas. I can kind of half picture it.
Well, one of them is Pidgin. Yeah, and like right now, I'm running ads for. I'm trying to find a Hindi speaking agent so I can run ads in Hindi.
I was like, dude, are there even that many countries? I don't even think there's 700 countries, are there? I'm not that smart, but I don't think there are. Or I don't know how many there are. I'm like, how are there that many freaking languages? But I guess the different dialects make sense. I don't know.
There's a lot. So there's my kid story, and there's my Pidgin story, and there's my Doctor of Badassery story. I think I'm out of stories today.
Interesting. All right. I got home yesterday from our trip in Phoenix. So we have to leave. We leave the resort thing at like 9 that time. We're gonna flight at noon their time. We land at 5:30 our time, and I get home at like 7 my time. And I'm doing this stupid run that I decided to do. So that I had to hire this guy to tell me how to get ready for it because I just keep running and I don't know what I'm doing. So he like gives me like a regimen. And yesterday I had to run yesterday for 90 minutes, and I've never done that. And I'm like, shit, at 7 p.m. I just traveled for what felt like 42 hours. And I get home, it's 42 degrees in Atlanta and windy. And I'm like, fuck, I gotta run. So I do it. And I'm like, I gotta go run. So I get home, and Maddox wants to chat because he's been with his grandma for like 5 days, however long we were, and he wants to like catch up and hang out and whatever. And the second I walk in the door, he's like, all right, Dad, can we go to the PGA store? I'm like, bro, golf again? I just walked in. So I'm like, he goes, all right, can I ask you something? And this is how much he like, it's funny at 12 how much they absorb from things we do. He's like, okay, I have a question, but can you please not talk until I get the whole thing out? Because he didn't want me to like come to any assumptions or conclusions first. Yeah. So he's like, if I got something I want to ask, but can you let me ask the whole question first? I'm like, oh, you're implying I cut you off normally, you little shit. And he goes, so I really want a new driver, but I have an idea. If I choose to get a used driver, will you take me today to get one? And I'm like, golly, dude. Like, yeah, he just said, I'm like, why do you need a new driver? And we go back and forth. And of course, one of his buddies got one for Christmas, and he now drives 220 yards and Maddox doesn't. So he wants to drive further and yada, yada. And I'm like, what do I get out of this? He's like, well, it's, yeah. I'm like, so my question to you is, what's in it for me? Because if you think saving $52 on a driver is the benefit to me, you're wrong, kid.
Well, like, even if the benefit is saving $52, okay, I'll take that. Great, you get to save $52 on it. But what's in it for me? That screw you. We can do this tomorrow and save $52. So is this an ultimatum?
Or I can just say no. You know what I mean? I'm like, what are we doing?
Or you take tomorrow and you have to spend the extra.
Yeah. So it stumps him.
He's giving you an ultimatum.
Yeah. So it stumps him, and he's looking at me and he goes, well, what do you mean? I'm going like, well, like there's nothing in it for me, dude. You only thought about your benefit. You didn't think about my benefit in this negotiation. You're trying to negotiate with me, but I get nothing out of it. So for the next 30 minutes, he's like, 20 minutes as I'm getting ready to go run, he's like, well, what do you want? I'm like, I mean, I didn't bring this to the table, so I don't have anything that I do want. You're supposed to sell me on why I like how this benefit. So we go back and forth, and finally he's like, well, can you just help me? Can you just tell me? And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe you could be like, you'll let me golf with you instead of kicking me out and golfing with your friends. And then I give him some few examples, and he goes, can I ride my bike next to you while you go running? And I'm like, sure, son. So for the first time ever,
that's a good one.
I didn't agree to but yeah,
you could teach him the yes. That's a good time for a yes lesson. Yeah. Dad, do you like watching me play golf? Yes. Does it make you proud when I learned something that I'm surpassing you at? Yes. Yeah. Does it make you happy that I have this hobby that keeps me out of jail? Yes. Will you take me to go buy a right? Work on the yes. That's a good one for him right there.
We're getting him there. So he says he'll come ride a bike with. So I run, I do 8 miles last night, which made me want to die.
Yeah.
I couldn't feel my legs. I couldn't feel my hands.
Especially after sitting for that.
Bro, I was like, but I didn't want to not do it. I couldn't like go to sleep because the guy had it on my agenda. And I'm like, I just physically couldn't skip it. I felt like a punk if I said, let me do it tomorrow. So I do it.
Right.
So he rides his bike with me for 3 miles. He's like, Dad, I think I have frostbite, because he rides his bike in Crocs barefoot and it's 40 out. And I'm like, all right, bro, you go inside. Thank you for the quality time. We'll talk about golf later. And I finished the run. I get back in and he's like, so does that mean we get to golf tomorrow? Are you skipping your meetings? Can you not go to the office? And he's like planning the whole day. So I'm guess I'm going to the PGA store tonight.
Right.
After work. And negotiating quality time with my son. So I buy him a driver. I'm like, you're a freaking scammer, bro.
All of my kids love flip-flops and Crocs, except my son. He won't. My son only wears tennis shoes because I've taught him from the day he was born. Bro, you never know when you have to save the world, and you cannot save the world in flip-flops.
You cannot. I don't wear them either.
No.
I'm not a fan. I
mean,
like them.
If you're a grown-ass man in flip-flops, something bad happens, you're just going to die.
Steph buys me some. And the only time it does. It does. So you need to definitely I can hear you. We definitely need to start a GoFundMe for Perry's internet. Whoever wants in, let me know.
They're rebuilding the
I know
internet.
That's not the I know. I don't get to give you shit much.
And rebuilding the internet for the entire freaking building. In a couple of weeks, we're moving back over to the other building. I'll just do it out of there until we get this shit together. So it's driving me crazy.
I love it. Anyway, so yeah, I think that's my jam this week, dude.
Like $1,600 a month or something crazy for this internet, and it doesn't freaking work.
Yeah. So, and it's like AOL.
All right, man. Yeah. Have a beautiful day. This was fun. I appreciate it.
Later, guys.
Bye.